Hey Defenders, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk a brief update on the news. Now, this is coming on the heels of what we just covered in a short we just released last night involving the removal of the protected asylum status from the Somali community in Minnesota. But hey, before we go into that, don't forget this holiday season, we got Black Friday coming up. Hey, get your Guard Tech Plus cleaning kits. This is the perfect gift, dude. Underneath the tree for that sportsman, that person that's got an EDC, concealed carry handgun, that's a hunter, that takes classes and trains. They're going to need something to clean those firearms, and this solves your problem right then and there. We're going to have that link in the description below, so get this shipped to you. We only have about 120 left, I believe, and so once these things are gone, that's it. We're not doing this deal again. So hey, get down there and absolutely pick yourself up a Guard Tech Plus cleaning kit. All right, so let's update. Trump and the executive branch has removed the protected asylum status from the Somali community, and this is coming on the heels of a massive investigation that started August 1st, peeling back the layers from the Department of Health and Human Services and what's happening in Minnesota with Medicaid fraud. And what's happening is that the Somali community got caught up in essentially essentially claiming all kinds of fake autism diagnoses, taking that money and sending it overseas to Al-Shabaab. And how Minnesota's the #1 at something. Yay, we're #1 at funding terrorism. This is fantastic, okay? But I didn't want to just cover that. I wanted to draw attention to this little video right here where we have a Somali sheriff saying, sheriff's deputy saying in Hennepin County that his first and foremost protection and his first and foremost responsibility is to the Somalians, and that's it. Don't take my word for it. Check it out.
horta sida ogtihiinba wadankan anaga qaxootiyan imaanay askar Soomaaliya ma jirin marka hadda anaga markii la haygareeyay waxay noqotay inaan dadkeena u shaqeyno dadkii dhaqankii ma fahmeynaa luqadii ma fahmeynaa culture-kii ma fahmeynaa marka qofka kale mataqaana ajnabiga abadaanka iyo anaga waa kala duwanahay because qofkii gaabkii waxa we build that bridge kaas ma fahantay marka insha Allah waa mahadsantiin again ogaada askari kasta oo Soomaaliya dalka iyo dabadaba inuu inii shaqeeyaa habeenkii marka hurudaan iyo marka mataqaana achievetaanba ininka inii taaganahay oo markaan Soomaaliyeed ininka.
All right, now why am I finding this interesting? Well, all of this kind of, again, ties into what's happening in Minnesota. It's already a hotbed. We've already been covering a lot on this channel, even before everything kind of popped off with the big news on funding terrorism. But we have everything from the war orphan scandal and the arrested terrorists that were out of Rochester, Minnesota back from 2010. We've even had the Feed Our Future scandal, the NGO scandal that's happening right now. Man, it's scandal after scandal and after scandal in this state. It's absolutely astronomical. And now you have the Medicaid fraud and the funding of terrorism. Now, how does this really tying into the sheriff? Well, if you've been paying attention to the Somali community, that they're not really one that's trying to assimilate. We are having massive gang issues, and I'm going to say enclave issues in the state of Minnesota. Because not only are we having gang issues against and towards citizens of Minneapolis and St. Paul and the rest of the state, but we're also having internal issues in their own community. The Somali community does not bind together very well, even amongst their own group. This is one of the reasons that Omar lost his election against Mayor Fry. I always say his name wrong. Get in the comments and please correct me on his name pronunciation. So I'll say Frey until I know otherwise. No, past that. It's interesting because so Omar lost because there is tribal infighting and disagreements amongst that Somali community. This is something that they have brought over from their asylum status from the nation of Somalia to the United States. Again, dating all the way back to 1991. So these issues still have not gone away even from there. And if you look at the state of Somalia, it's very interesting because ever since 1991 and their civil war, they have gone through pseudo-government to failed government to temporary government again and again and again with constant turmoil happening in that nation. And now you have Al-Shabaab, which is a huge force there, which essentially is running a lot of that country because they have the firearms and the weapons, and you bet they are controlling that country with a fist. And are we expecting, though, and that's my big musing, is are we expecting any different then to happen here? You bring in the third world, typically you get the third world attached to that. We've already seen them in Minnesota try to go join ISIS, successfully joined Al-Shabaab, and it was an airport employee out of Minnesota that actually went over and joined them. So, the airport was hiring people trying to join terrorist organizations. So that's something fun to think about too. And of course, the news even covered that in Minnesota, Fox 9 and all those. So Are we expecting different? No. And what happens next is really what's going to be interesting. You know, I can only speculate. And out of my own mouth now, this is my own opinion, my own speculation. On one hand, I think, hey, nothing's going to happen. That nothing new under the sun, that they're, you know, it's not like we're going to get massive deportations. Or we could have judges jamming everything up like they're constantly doing to Trump's administration right now. And heck, they did that during his first term, where they would try to block everything constantly again and again to jam up the process to essentially try to make him a lame duck president so he doesn't get his agenda pushed through, which is because they hate him so much. Or we actually do see massive ICE deportations. They come through, they go through Rochester and Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Burnsville, Bloomington, Duluth, and they go through these areas and they do start grabbing these individuals and start deporting them back to Somalia. And that could be something that happens. You know, we covered this in a video earlier too, where remittance payments from the Somali community going to Somalia through things like Wells Fargo wire transfers and everything, or them physically taking cash overseas, that the United States and Minnesota specifically is funding 25% of the Somali GDP. And go check out that video. It's one of ours. I'll put it in the description below too, so you can check out that one also. So, you know, don't take my word for it. Again, it's covered it, and other news outlets have definitely covered it too. So anyways, I just wanted to draw attention to the sheriff's officer and where his allegiances lie. And Hennepin County typically does do an oath of office where you swear to uphold the Constitution. And I would not be surprised if this individual did not take such an oath, being that, he would not swear on a Bible, that he would swear on a Quran, and he would not take an oath at all, especially when he's verbally stating in his own language, hey, Somalia first, I am here to protect you guys. And some of it sounds good out of his mouth, certainly, where he says, like, I can bridge the gap, because I understand their culture and everything, but that culture doesn't assimilate. And now he's in a position of power. And historically, we've seen tyrants and governments do this in the past, where you take foreign entities to replace the natural-born citizens that are in positions in the military and law enforcement, and then they will be a voting bloc in addition, do what they're told because of the benefits that they get from that tyrant, and then they'll be the ones to enforce and put the boot on the neck of that civilian population. So anyways, these are just my musings on it, and certainly anything could happen at this point, or nothing could happen at all. So, get down in the comments, let me know what you think's going to happen and go down with that. Do you think deportations will happen? Do you think nothing will happen? Or do you think a rogue judge is going to go through and try to stop anything from happening in general? So let me know down in the comments. Hey, thanks for sticking around. It's Mike with Aegis. Remember, be prepared, not scared. God bless and good night, everybody.